Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katy.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by Home Right Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice, winner of the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Award.
Speaking of Best of the Tri-State and winners, we have Michael Thorne from Lizzy's restaurant here. And for the last 3 years, were you voted Best Burger in the Tri-State?
Yeah, I think it's 3, somewhere. It's around that number, yeah.
And
When you win it so much, you can just, I think it was around that.
I forget when it started and when we started it, because honestly, some of the years just went by so quick. To be honest with you, it's just kind of like lost in just the hustle.
Yeah.
And so I've actually, I hate to say this out loud, I've never had a burger from Lizzy's. I've had your chicken.
Okay.
I've had your chicken parm, and I've had a BLT. I haven't had a burger yet, but I'm a little upset with you.
Okay.
Because you came in here
And
empty-handed.
I know.
Yes.
I know. I was detouring, and so I didn't think it was going to carry well, and so I did it for quality purposes.
I see you know what? I see where your logic is.
You don't want to underrepresent the product.
Correct, especially if we're going live, right, with cameras and everything like
Yeah,
that. They're going to
of course.
know. They're going to see right
I
through.
Well,
get it.
this time we'll let you go, but next time.
Hall pass?
That's
Sweet.
right.
Okay.
But, I remember the first time you and I met, amazingly, because you've been part of the Verstandig family, as we call it, for a number of years now.
Yeah, things like 6.
Yeah, the first time that we met was at our Soundwaves Music Festival this year. I was in the catering area. I had not eaten all day.
Oh, yes.
And I sat down, and it was because the main, where all the staff had eaten, that was all broken down, been picked over. So I went to the artist catering, which, was still up and running, good to go. And I saw what looked to me like a Hawaiian dish.
Okay.
Because it had pineapple and
Yeah.
all in it. And turns out it was jerk chicken. But not only was it jerk chicken, it was the best jerk chicken that I've ever had. And that's when it was brought to my attention that not only do you have a restaurant, but you do catering as well.
Yes, we do. We do. Thanks for mentioning that. We outside of the food truck, which we do catering with that as well, we also do like a drop style catering. And we've actually just gone live recently on our website with the link so you can actually order. And you can place orders out 6 months in advance. And you can go through and portions are kind of there to help people make that selection and process a little bit easier so they kind of know what they're getting, covering their head count. And it's been really successful thus far. And jerk chicken is one of the options with our mango pineapple salsa.
The spice was on point
so
with
good.
that.
Unbelievably
I'm a
good,
baby
yeah.
with spice, but it was on point.
So the funny thing about that is one of the guys in the kitchen, Logan Rowland, who's worked for us for 5 years, he came and said he wanted to do that. And my dad is married to a woman from Trinidad. So growing up, I got to have curry duck, curry goat, jerk chicken, things like that, but pretty common through the house. And when Logan made it, first couple times, dry runs were like, a little too much on the spice, a little too Christmassy, cut some of that stuff back. We went through and he finally hit it. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I took a bite of that, when he dialed it in, it took me back to my kitchen table, 15 years old. I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is the one. And he did such a good job with it. I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
With your catering, how large of a party or group can you cater to?
So far, the largest we've hit was about 260 people.
Whoa.
Yeah, we get up there.
Like
so
weddings, you
like
could-
25 on the low side, right? I think we stop in around that ballpark, 25, 30, and then we go up from there. Really, it depends on the menu selection and our ability to execute it properly. If it's outside of our wheelhouse or it's something that we can't do, we're going to let the customer know. Yeah. But if it's something that we have the facilities and infrastructure to accommodate, we're absolutely going to make sure we nail it and try to hit it out of the park.
Wow. And I also was seeing on your website, because I was stalking you guys a little bit last night, you have contactless delivery. Is that a newer thing?
No, so we've done delivery for a while. We did it in-house originally. I think we started back in 2020, 2021. We've recently transitioned to doing delivery through our POS system. And so it uses a network of drivers, your DoorDash, et cetera. It's a process that has been a learning curve for us, and I think also for some of our client base. But we do have a delivery as an option, absolutely.
I think it's so great that you guys started out as a food truck, yes?
It was actually brick and mortar. So
Okay.
I bought the restaurant in 2018, December of, and we opened January of 2019 to the public. And the food truck was an afterthought at the time. We were kind of like putting some stuff together, and I found it in a farmer's field. And we bought it off of Barr's Farm, and I gutted it and had it work into my drive. Many of the customers were like, I remember when you were down on State Line, I saw you working on the truck. But we gutted it and put it all together, and we were permitted in April of 20.
I think this may be what I should have better said, is I think the food truck really got you guys out there in front of the public and informed a lot of people we're here, because to the point where I thought you were a food truck, and then when I found out you had a brick and mortar, I was really, and a lot of everything is about education. So letting people know, here we are, here's where you can find us, when you can find us. I think that, for me, I was just so glad to know that I don't have to look at a schedule for a food truck. I can just go to your restaurant, which is just down the road from us.
Absolutely. And that was the purpose for the truck, right? Because we're a bit off the beaten path. We're outside of town, heading towards Mercersburg, so we don't see that type of volume and traffic counts that other major arteries kind of get you. Not that 16 is small by any extent of the imagination, but as you start heading out those ways, it dwindles some. So the food truck was kind of built to kind of be that mobile billboard and bring awareness that hey, we exist. And it's done that.
Who is Lizzy?
Previous ownership's name, and it was actually a lizard. And I don't want to speak and be wrong, but I think there was a name in there, and that's kind of how the Lizzy's developed. When I bought it, just taking our time to make sure that we were making changes that fit for the community and for that business, we rebranded it, did a logo the way you see it now today, and have come to know it. Got rid of the lizard, did some stuff like that, changed the food, although many of the items actually on our menu were original ownership's items. We just changed the quality aspect of it, how we handle the ingredients, the type of ingredients we purchase, things like that. Part of our burger being as great as it is, it drills down into our seasoning. So there's me and 3 people, or me being the 3rd, that know how to make it. Other people come into the kitchen. I'm like, oh, what's in that? So do me a favor, go down to the basement and get some ice. They come back up and it's made. I'm like, what's in that? I'm like, never, dude, never.
Right, not gonna happen.
So we keep it close to the vest on purpose, and I think that's one of the main differentiating things is that seasoning. It's on our cheesesteak and it's on our burger, and that really separates it.
That was going to be my question: is what sets your burger apart from everybody else's that makes it best in the Tri-State?
So the burger itself, a good burger is many things, right? But it bun to meat, the cheese ratio, sweet, salty, fatty, all of those things, right? So when people eat food in general, you can create a dopamine release, right? That's the honest answer. Very similar to anything else, happiness, joy, all of those things, right? And that's why food has such a primal connection with people. It brings memory and all of that stuff. So when you have sweetness of the brioche, toasted gives you a little nuttiness, the fattiness of the cheese with the saltiness of the seasoning, you get the Maillard reaction from the sear on the burger. You start putting all those things together. That's kind of what gives you that minimum 3 points is what you want to hit. But when you start going up on that factor, you get into the 4, and then you really create a memory. You create something that's going to hit with the consumer.
Michael or Mike?
Either.
Okay, Mike, what's your background?
Born and raised in Toronto, Canada. Came here to the States in 2004 to go to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. Graduated from there with my bachelor's, and did a lot of work in corporate food, a lot of contract managed food with some large companies. Worked in healthcare, worked in college education, was the EC for the University of New Haven in Connecticut, ran a couple hospitals, some stuff like that. And then towards the end of what I did with the large company, Sodexo, was account stabilization and client manage. So we would basically, I would be one of a crew that would go out to stabilize and or exit with grace. So when you take some of that tumultuous fire, brimstone to kind of kitchen environment, of trying to put things into a pattern, reinstate quality, go through all of that. When I had the opportunity to purchase Lizzy's, I was basically doing what I'd been doing for so many years on the corporate level. Just this time it was for myself.
And do you have a passion for cooking?
I love food. Absolutely.
It sounds like it.
I love food. I love the science of food.
I was going to say you speak about it scientifically.
Mixed with the emotional attachment. Like when Logan made that jerk chicken, I remember sitting, the first time my dad introduced me to Betsy, I remember going to her house, and I remember the chicken she brought out in the backyard, and I was this skinny little white kid who grew up in Scarborough, and I took a bite out of this jerk chicken and my throat was closing. I thought I was trying to die. Like it was, I couldn't deal with the heat at all. But as time went by, it's one of my go-to favorite dishes. Like when I go back home, it's one of the stops that I make. I'm always going past my dad's spot They're older now, so there's other spots within the city that I know that I go hit deliberately.
Are they still back in Canada?
Yeah, everything. My whole family's network, all that's back in Canada. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the Lizzy's restaurant, you have this. Is it a maple sundae that I've heard about?
Sweet potato
Sweet
maple.
potato, yes.
Sweet potato maple.
Tell
yeah.
me about this.
So the sweet potato maple is our vanilla soft serve. It's a tater tot of sweet potato, if you will. Okay. And it's deep fried, and then it's cinnamon sugar dusted, and then it gets a drizzle of maple syrup, and it's pretty darn good.
And when you purchased Lizzy's, the original Lizzy's, did they also have all the ice cream and sweet options?
So when I bought Lizzy's, I kind of put all my eggs in one basket, and many of the other concepts that are similar to what I do have flavored soft serves and multiple machines. And I don't want to bore everybody here, but those machines are like a Honda Accord to buy one of those. Like they're expensive. So when I bought it, I knew I wasn't going to be able to compete with that. I didn't have that type of bankroll. And so I wanted to know what would differentiate us. So the signature sundaes was that line. We have the Reese's Explosion. We have the Kinder Surprise. The unicorn is super awesome. The turtle, which is a pretty standard one. I think we do it better. And the Oreo Fudge River. We have a bunch of them. And they're also all available as varietals of a shake. So we have a larger straw to ensure that all your incorporations into your shakes can actually find their way up into you and not just be that sludge pile in the bottom of your shake when you're done. So we really kind of did a lot of that to engineer it so you could have all of that option, whether it's a twister, whether it's a shake, whether it's a sundae, you can enjoy them all in whichever medium you choose to have it.
Imagine there's to those that are listening and watching on YouTube, to think that there is a business owner, a restaurant owner that exists in our area who views food like this. I think that's rare.
Yeah,
I believe
you're
it's rare.
fascinating.
And it shows in your food. I'm a testament to not just that, but the cheesecake that same day was, and I'm not a cheesecake fan. Great cheesecake.
We have a fried cheesecake sundae too.
Ooh.
You did. You won't when I get over there this afternoon.
Okay.
But it's just, I love the passion that you have. We've been into this over a week, and every person that we've had here, whatever they do, it doesn't matter, and it runs the gamut. They all share one thing: is they're passionate about what they do.
Awesome.
You have displayed that like crazy here this afternoon, and it makes me want to try everything on your menu.
Well, we'd welcome you to come out one
I'm
by
sure
one
you want
and
that,
pick
yes.
your way through.
What are the hours of operation for Lizzy's?
We're open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. But I did want to say that so much of the success that Lizzy's has experienced in the 6 years that we've owned it, it also comes a lot like Logan, who made the jerk chicken, Vic Cassidy, who's my right hand in the back, Kyle the shoemaker. There's too many to name. Without all of them, Lizzy's is nothing. Lizzy's, when it first started, it was a lot of my effort that made it to where we are today, but they have really taken the reins, and they're the mainstay behind it. It's that team, because they uphold that quality just as well as I do. Yeah. They know and I know that's not all right. We don't bat 1,000, but we do our best to make sure. It's pivotal that they're there.
I was at the Christmas tree lighting this past year,
We're there again this year.
and I've recently moved back to the area.
Okay.
Maybe about a little over a year ago. Okay. And I was at the Christmas tree lighting, and Lizzy's was there handing out chili.
We were, yeah.
And hot chocolate,
Yep.
I believe. And that was my first experience with Lizzy's, was the chili, and I was so impressed with it because it was obviously made in bulk to feed multiple people. It was fantastic. And again, with the spice level on point, because people are funny about their chili. It was fantastic.
Funny story with the chili. So we were in a chili cook-off, and we took a People's Choice Award for that. And we have a little meat grinder. It's a really cool trophy at the restaurant. And I remember when I went, Vic and Logan were fresh out of Franklin County Career Tech. And I've won a few different chili cook-offs. And I explained to them when we went, I said, listen, when you go to a chili cook-off, you really only need to worry about 30% of the people there. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, 30% of the people aren't going to know how to use salt. 30% of the people are going to think they need lots and lots of spice, which some like, but from a general consensus standpoint, you don't got to worry about it. So there's really only 30% of the people here are your true direct competition. Like, okay, and when we ended up winning that day, I gave them the cash and I took the trophy. And that's how we split it with that one. But it's very much so we don't want to be overpowering on the spice, but also when you do it, there's a proper way to bloom. And chili powders, curries, things like that, You need to bloom them. If you don't do that, you don't have that complexity within the flavor. And so being able to teach that to them, and Vic makes all the chili now. He does it all. Logie does it as well sometimes, but Vic's the main one-off. And they've got it dialed down. The whole process, how we sear the meat, save the fond, utilize that into it, how we bloom that chili powder and get all that working together with our mirepoix, putting it. It's a process, but it's a full day from start to finish to complete it. But when it's done, I eat a bunch of the chili. I love chili too, and it is a very good chili.
For someone who has zero cooking ability, and I mean zero, can I ever come and watch you guys cook in the kitchen and maybe learn a little something that I could take back with me?
Just not the seasoning.
Yeah, just not the seasoning.
I'll go get the
you
ice
can't
for
do
that.
Right? Send it for the ice. But yeah, that's not a problem. That we're actually trying now to be putting a bunch of different content out through some of our social media, little vignettes, little things like that, to show the process. Like we're making a Chipotle maple bacon right now, and we're in the R&D section, right?
Yeah.
We're in the R&D section of that, and it's going to be people watching that. So even through some of that, if you stay tuned and watch some of those that are going to be coming out in the next couple months, you're going to start to see the process, how we do what we do, and why we brine, what we're doing, and that's going to kind of be explained through there. So that might be something that people could tune in for as well.
What would you say is your favorite? If you could only keep one item on your menu, what would it be?
Ooh, one menu on the item? And it has to be food, or does ice cream count?
Food.
One of each.
One of each?
Okay.
Okay, well, from a food perspective, it would be the burger. I mean, I've taken that burger, literally like taken one home, forgotten about it, left it on the counter overnight, thrown it in the fridge, in a Ziploc bag, come back to it 3-4 days later, wrap it in paper towel, threw it in my microwave for a minute, and it was still awesome. So the burger, hands down, I like mine a certain way.
Actually.
You know what?
There you go.
It was the burger for sure is my number one go-to. Very close second is the cheesesteak, onion, mushroom, mayo, hot pepper relish.
My man.
That would be it. And then from an ice cream perspective, I know this is very plain Jane, but the chocolate soft serve. I eat that like it's on tap, right? So he's little nibble.
You're the
and
owner
if you
who's gonna
never
say
fill the
anything.
cup, then you never know how much you ate, right? So you can just eat it all day long, right? And there's no guilt.
The calories
right?
don't count
No,
then, of
you
course.
can't add them up.
Well, so Lizzy's restaurant, catering, dine-in, contactless delivery, food truck, you guys do it all 7 days a week, 11 to 9, online, lizzysrestaurant.com.
Yep.
Okay,
And Lizzy's
perfect.
Restaurant on Facebook.
Well, Michael, this has been very enlightening, and next time you are in this building,
Come with gifts.
don't make that mistake again.
Yep,
So we'll let you go this time. Coming up, we're going to take another look at news and sports, and it's all powered by Veritas Men's Health in Hagerstown. There is telehealth available. You can find them online at veritasmenshealth.com.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.